10 things to teach a piano beginner in 10 lessons. Number 10. Life inside our sound. Teach from the very beginning the quality a music sound must have, and not just from the correct body position, wrists, hands, arms, fingers, but in the way you yourself hear the sound that you're producing, how you feel the vibrations and the sound itself in your head, in your body when you press a piano key. Even for adult piano beginners, I try to explain difficult multidimensional terms such as vibration, harmonics, live non-mechanical rhythm in simple ways, and try to break those terms in small bits of information. Give examples from everyday life so that they can relate to. I also give exaggerated wrong examples so that I activate the student's critical thinking. What is in between those wrong, exaggerated examples, I leave it up to the interpretation of the student and try not to sculpt or control every movement or every aspect of their playing on the piano, producing their sound. But still, on the other hand, I give some concrete directions and tools that they can use. Let's say, for example, the forte sound. I explain to them that forte comes from the word force. Wording is very important, especially with tempo and what they mean. But still, yes, you have to use force when you play forte, but that does not mean that you have to press the piano keys aggressively. But still, you have to have some kind of some energy and force to play a music note or notes or a melody in a forte sound. So, I will give you now some of the concrete directions and exercises I give to my students about the quality of sound. So first and most important is the constant energy flow that our hands, our fingers, our bodies have to have when playing an instrument. With adult beginners, it should be easier for them to understand this kind of concepts, but still, you're going to have to give some exercises, some real examples of what it is that you mean with this beautiful term, constant energy flow. I like to do this exercise where I play in the beginning 5 keys in a row, and I ask my students to move my hand, but not to press a lot of force, because I'm also concentrating on playing the piano keys. So just some amount of force and see what happens with my hand. So let's start. There is some resistance. And then I tell them it is because I am having constant energy flow with my fingers. And now I'm gonna ask them to do this again without using constant energy flow in my hand. It's that simple. Then I ask them to do this. But again, I give them an exaggerated wrong example. By constant energy flow, I don't mean a stiff hand, like a dried, dead branch of a tree. There still must be some plasticity, there must be some life in it. So enough force, I don't like that word so much, I try to avoid it, enough energy to press, to play the keys. And then my students try it. I try to move their hand. It should not be easy. And usually they are not slipping down the piano keyboard. I also, when I do this while they play, I'm trying also to feel how much pressure, how much force they're putting. So you can see while grabbing their hand, even when you're playing some other pieces or exercises, you can immediately understand, you can feel the vibration inside their hand. If it is too stiff, then you're gonna ask them to remember to relax, to have a normal, constant flow of the blood through their fingers. Or if they are too relaxed, their hand is going to slip off, their wrist is not going to be stable. That's a very good clue that their hand is not having constant energy flow, is that the wrist is uncontrolled, either going up or down. And also very important part is that I'm going to ask them to play different keys and move their hand, usually with large distances, let's say C and C, from 3 different octaves. And I'm going to ask them again, while I move my hand from this time period from one key to another, for them to try and move my hand and feel what it's like. Again, I'm using constant flow energy, and they're not able to get me off track of the piano keyboard. And I'm going to ask them to do it again without using the constant energy flow. So the importance of this exercise is to explain to them that their job is not just to think about this energy, this life inside their hands while they play and press piano keys, but also in between silence, in between movement of their hand, in between phrases. It always has to be there. Now, a second exercise is for me to try to explain to them the vibration their sound is producing. And what do I mean by that? I give an example of, like, you think visually that the pianist is producing their sound as soon as they touch the key. But in reality, you have to think that the sound is produced when this key, this wooden key, is already as down as it can get. It's that deep, the sound that we're looking for, the sound that we have to find. My professor used to say to me, don't look for the sound you want, find it and play it, produce it. And again, I'm going back to the previous tutorial with the body posture. I asked them to imagine that they're playing with little bones inside their fingers, as if there is no flesh or muscle tissues, and that the sound is inside this key. And using the constant energy flow, you won't have this result. It's like a very big high peak of the vibration, and then it dies. We don't want that. We want life as much as it can hold on for, as much as the duration of the vibration to be constant, and not just with peaks and then lows. Peaks, lows. So I ask them also to close their eyes and just to focus on the listening. And then I play those 2 examples and ask them which they liked best and why. First. And now second. Usually almost all will answer that the second time they liked it best. And there are very interesting answers that I get from students. I love doing these experiments. Some will say that the first one was too violent, it gave me a headache. And why is that? It's because there is an exaggeration. There is a big peak on the 4th. I'm giving to the piano key, and then it goes down. It's like it's there, it's not there. It's alive, it's dead. And also this happens when you don't have a very stable wrist. As if you're having a small electroshock or an energy explosion. We don't want an explosion, we want constant energy. And the second is constant vibration that is kind of similar. Now, another aspect that is very important, especially for us teachers, is the way we count and teach our students how to count. I have this actually on a previous tutorial from this series. How to teach your students to count even from their first lesson, and how important this habit is. If you count to your student 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, giving so much impulse, so much exaggerated impulse, just because you're bored or tired or you got used to it and you're doing it unconsciously, that's the way they're gonna play it. They're gonna play 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's very important for you to teach to your student and setting yourself as an example, how to count in a constant energy flow. Whether it's gonna be forte, but again constant, and this almost similar amount of force, or piano, or wherever in between, but they have to be similar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this kind of quality of sound is also the quality of your voice that you're using when you're counting with your student. Have that also in mind. It's very, very important. Have in mind that each student in time will create their own touche, an individual, a unique one that no one else will have in the world, like our fingerprints and our voice. The purpose of the wrong exaggerated examples is to set two edges of a concrete spectrum, like the quality of sound, and what is in between is that you're trying to create a balance with your student, which is hard, and it's unique with every student, and is unique the way you teach it and discover it with every student, but that is where their individual interpretation of music lies. And you as a teacher, that is our job, to give tools for human beings, either they're small or adults, to discover their own interpretation in music, their own sound. Stay tuned for my next video tutorials. Games to play during a piano lesson, for individual lessons and group piano lessons. Until then, enjoy your practice.